Good evening and many thanks for joining us live on QTV. You are watching QTV News and I am Ajibintu Drame. Internet top stories. The Minister of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, Professor Pierre Gomez, visited the Crab Island Technical and Vocational Education Training Center in Banjul as part of his tour of educational institutions. The Minister of the Interior gave us his statement on World Drug Day, which is commemorated on 26th. We hear criticism of the inaction a year after Disability Act was passed. And in international news, we have two reports showing the diversity of side events from the ongoing Commonwealth Summit in Rwanda, which closes today, 25th of June. Those are our main headlines. Now the news in detail. Now, as part of his official tour of educational institutions within the Greater Banjul area, the Minister of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, Professor Pierre Gomez, visited the Crab Island Technical and Vocational Education Training Center in Banjul on Friday. More in this report. Accompanied by the Permanent Secretaries of Higher Education, Basic and Secondary Education, the Minister visited the various areas of learning at the Crab Island TVET School. The vocational school accommodates 175 students in various courses, including electrical, satellite and solar installations, building construction, hairdressing and beauty therapy, plumbing, tailoring and more. Visiting each class, the minister was impressed, particularly seeing women in some of the supposedly male-dominated fields. Following their discussions with the minister, this is what some of the female students had to say about what sparked their interest in such fields.
With TVET, you can establish your own business without depending on the government.
Not only men can do these skilled jobs, even we the ladies can do it.
But learning skills is good, because we're here doing it, and I believe that you too can do it.
2019, dem baax waaye eeguma gis naa jafe-jafe bi nekk ci yoon bi ci laa dégg rajo yi dañuy wax ne rafet dangaa dem jàng doo fay dara.
To take education very seriously with them and to know that skills is something that you will go on with in the world anywhere you have.
The tailoring and garment construction had an all-girls class, while the electrical, solar, satellite, building construction, among others, have few females in each. These students encourage their fellow women to venture into skills in order to be independent. After over an hour visit to each class, Minister Gomez says part of discouraging the Pellerose Bagwe syndrome is by acquiring skills.
We need to take a sustainable road for development, and that road must be anchored on education. And in education, we need to now revive and insist on the second stream of education. That is the TVET education.
Minister Gomez further promised that his ministry will support the TVET Center.
Also be supporting the TVET programs by giving them scholarships. Because that's the only way you can free them. You give them freedom by giving them the right education. And you've heard the students. The good news is traditional skill set, where we have this patriarchal system imposing on our girls, saying that they don't have that opportunity to be there. You've heard the girls today. They could do it, and they will stay. And that brings development.
Usman Silla, the chairperson of Crab Island Technical and Vocational Education Training Center, thanked partners for making this possible. He further elaborates.
We have got some institutions that are ready to accept them, accommodate them for 3 months to do their practicals there, whilst under professional supervision. At the end of the 3 months, that is by September, they're going to come back for the final assessment and exams to be supervised by NACA. And it is based on that they'll be awarded with certificates.
Usman Silla mentions that resources are needed for students to go to the second level. He also says plans are in the pipeline to expanding the classes to create more room for students. The Crab Island TVET School was established in 2020 through the initiative of Usman Silla, who was then a National Assembly member with support from the government of the Gambia, the Turkish Cooperation and Coordination Agency, TICA, the Youth Empowerment Project, YEP, MRC Holland Foundation, the Rotary Club of Fajara, and Roden Revolt in the UK. Ajibintu Drame, QTV News. Ahead of World Drug Day, which is commemorated on the 26th of June every year, we can now hear the Minister of the Interior on the theme, Care in Crisis, addressing drug challenges in health and humanitarian crisis. Here is his statement.
Fellow Gambians, tomorrow 26 June 2022 marks the commemoration of the International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Drug Trafficking, also referred to as World Drug Day. The theme for this year's commemoration is Care in Crisis, addressing drug challenges in health and humanitarian crisis. This year we are commemorating the day at a time when the world is overwhelmed with humanitarian crisis as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and instability in some parts of the world. Despite all these challenges and proven dangers, the World Drug Report 2021 indicates that around 275 million people use drugs over the years. This figure is a 22% increase from 2010. The report also estimates an 11% global increase in drug use by 2030, and it is further projected that Africa alone will account for 40% of such increase. The report also highlighted a substantial disconnect between real risk and public perception regarding the usage of cannabis. While the potency of cannabis quadrupled, there was a 40% decrease in the perception of youth about the harmful effects of cannabis. This projected trend is worrying, and it should be a cause for concern for us as a nation and Africa as a continent. If Africa alone is projected to account for 40% global increase, in addition to a 40% reduction in the perception of youth who perceive cannabis to be harmless, then we must heighten our surveillance, strengthen our resolve to curb crimes, and increase public awareness about the dangers of illicit drugs and related activities. At the national level, the Drug Law Enforcement Agency, the Gambia DLEAG, registered 1,698 cases involving 1,699 accused persons from 2020 to date. The agency seized more than 6 tons of cannabis, close to a quarter ton of hashish, almost 3 tons of cocaine, and significant amounts of controlled and prohibited drugs, ranging from diazepam, clonazepam, ecstasy, methamphetamine, skunk, kush, among others, for the said period. The country's only psychiatric hospital also reported a significant increase in the admission and treatment of drug-induced psychosis cases. It is therefore paramount that as we commemorate this day, that we collectively work towards combating misinformation, increasing public awareness, and dismantling criminal syndicates. As a government, we will ensure that we capacitate and equip DLEAG to implement a balanced strategy in solving the world drug problem in tandem with internationally recognized standards. Let me emphasize that while we address the challenges of the drug situation in the midst of global health and humanitarian crisis, we are determined to dismantle any organized criminal network that may emerge in our jurisdiction. We will deal with any such group without negotiation to safeguard our youth from misery and the suffering caused by drugs. We will also continue to intensify our drug demand reduction initiatives and programs. However, we call on civil society organizations, youth groups, community-based organizations, and all relevant stakeholders to complement government's efforts and participate in drug prevention programs and initiatives. We also call on the public to be vigilant and report suspicious drug-related or criminal activities to drug law enforcement officers. It is only through collaboration and collective participation that we can make our communities safe, secure, and drug-free. Finally, I thank you all for your kind attention and assure you of DLEAG and my ministry's commitment and dedication to make Gambia safe, secure, and drug-free.
It is nearly a year since the Gambia enacted the Persons with Disability Act to promote and protect the fundamental human rights of persons with disability. The chairperson of the Federation of the Disabled has told QTV that the journey towards implementation has been slow and that government must not use the excuse of a lack of funding or resources for its inaction. Maudela Minchoy reports.
On July 6th last year, the National Assembly passed into law the Persons with Disabilities Bill, 10 years after it was drafted. The enactment of the bill was followed by presidential assent on August 4th, marking the coming into force of the Disability Act. This was a step towards fulfilling the Gambia's international legal obligation on the Convention of the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, which the country ratified in July 2015. The chairperson of the Gambia Federation of the Disabled, Mohammed Krubali, is not impressed with the lack of progress so far in implementing the act.
Things are really working very slow. The government should have no excuse to say that we don't have funding, or we do not have resources, or we do not have experts. The government should ensure the effective implementation of the fundamental rights of persons with disabilities as enshrined in Persons with Disabilities Act.
The Persons with Disabilities Act, among other provisions, provides for the health care, social support, accessibility, rehabilitation, education and vocational training, communication, employment and work protection and promotion of basic rights for persons with disabilities. The Act prescribes the establishment of a national advisory body comprising civil society and ex officio members from relevant ministries, through which the needs, problems, concerns, potentials and abilities of persons with disabilities can be discussed and communicated to the government and its agencies for action. The Advisory Council is in the process of being established, and recently the President has appointed its chairperson, who happens to be the chair of the Gambia Federation of the Disabled, Mohammed Krubali.
If you look at, for example, Section 10 of Persons with Disabilities Act, the functions of the National Advisory Council is explicitly stated that they will, serve as a monitoring mechanism or body, at least to oversee the operationalization of the Act itself, and also to look into different statutes as to whether they are in tandem, with the different, existing statutes that address the rights and of persons with disabilities or not.
Aside from the Disabilities Act, the Constitution protects persons with disabilities from discrimination and entitles them to equal opportunity on a par with anyone in the country. In this regard, the chairperson of the GFD is disappointed with the lack of inclusion of persons with disabilities at some of the highest levels of decision-making state institutions, such as the National Assembly and the President's Cabinet.
We had also expected, I have included this in my previous advocacy, that I hoped that the President will consider nominating persons with disabilities in the National Assembly, and will also consider appointing 1 or 2 persons with disabilities again to serve as minister in the cabinet. So we have seen that the President has made his appointment, for ministers in the cabinet without again considering any person with disability. Again, to the disability community, we express dismay and disappointment.
The state, which includes its organs such as the legislature, the judiciary and the executive, bears the responsibility for promoting and protecting the fundamental human rights and freedoms of persons with disabilities to create a society that is free from discrimination against anyone. Mohamed Lamin Choi, QTV News.
From that story, we will go for a commercial break. Still to come, we have more stories. Do stay tuned.
You've been looking for the perfect indoor router with long-range Wi-Fi coverage and faster internet speed connecting all your smart devices? Well, we present to you the QCell Indoor Router, a router that has all you need and much more. For just $4,750, you can get 4G plus internet speed, wide coverage, and connect up to 15 devices. That's not all. The indoor router can be used for both office and home needs. So, enhance your internet experience with our indoor router. For more info, call our customer care on 111. QCell, Sunubus, we innovate, others follow.
To make sure your company's products and services reach your potential customers, it is essential that you choose the right channel for your marketing purposes. QTV has the widest reach locally and beyond, and we can give your business the visibility it needs. Call QTV Marketing on +220 324 4444 or email us at marketing@qtv.gm and take your business to the world.
Welcome back. Up next, some international news. Although the heads of government meeting at Chagam in Rwanda has taken center stage, there have been other important side events. Here is a report of the first of those, the Commonwealth Youth Forum.
The Youth Forum marked the first day of the Commonwealth Heads of Government Meeting 2022 in Kigali, Rwanda.
I believe our first step in the right direction begins with the recognition that our youth population is our greatest untapped asset.
The day began at Intare Conference Arena with welcoming speeches from representatives of the Rwanda and Commonwealth Youth Councils, the Deputy Secretary General of Commonwealth, and a keynote from Rosemary Mbabazi, the Minister of Youth and Culture, Rwanda.
It is my utmost pleasure to officiate the opening ceremony of the Commonwealth Youth Forum 2022 under the theme, Taking Charge of Our Future.
Youth delegates met in plenaries and breakout meetings to discuss important topics ranging from entrepreneurship and technology to sustainable cities. The leaders of the Commonwealth Youth Committee vocalized their enthusiasm for the unity and opportunity that membership of the Commonwealth brings.
Yes, young people are responsible for taking action. I feel excited that it brings young people together and share ideas that we can go out there, be motivated, and go out there and take action, which is crucial.
The day ended with the launch of a Sustainable and Clean Energy Action Group and a Commonwealth Youth for Sustainable Urbanization Network.
I look forward to witnessing what we can achieve together in one voice, the voice of the Commonwealth.
Also, ahead of the gathering of Commonwealth country leaders in Kigali, Rwanda, a range of activities had already taken place. Here is the second of tonight's report about the Commonwealth Women's Forum.
Commonwealth Secretary-General, the Right Honourable Patricia Scotland QC, opened the Commonwealth Women's Forum on the second day of the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting for 2022, encouraging women to be bold and courageous.
You know those big dreams that you're dreaming? Dream bigger. Be bolder. And we must strive together to unleash the potential of all women and girls in the Commonwealth. This forum is a golden opportunity to take decisive steps towards these goals and build a safer, more secure, more prosperous future for all.
Her Excellency First Lady Jeanette Kagame welcomed women from across the Commonwealth to join together and support each other for a better and brighter future.
It's my hope that this forum, Women's Forum, goes down in memory as the catalyst of happening and deep lasting transformation for women and girls in Commonwealth countries and beyond.
Access to secondary education, opportunity, connection and wealth were discussed by distinguished guests as a priority for all women everywhere.
For me, financial empowerment is one of the key drivers to give women the choices they should be able to make for themselves about how they see their dreams, how they control their life. Because if a woman controls her money, then she can make those choices.
The creation of tangible opportunities was also the theme of the second day of the Youth Forum, with animated discussions on innovation, creativity, persistence, and the power of learning to transform life.
Those reports were supplied to us by the Commonwealth Secretariat. Now onto some sports news. The Gambia National Olympic Committee, GNOC, celebrated Olympic Day with a series of sporting activities on Thursday. The day climaxed 12 days of activities marking the special day. Our sports reporter, Momodu Gajaga, has more.
Events included sporting events such as road races of 3 kilometers, 5 kilometers and 10 kilometers, a cycling race, judo, and a race for the middle-aged. Olympic Day is celebrated on the 23rd of June every year to promote mass participation in sports. The spirit of sportsmanship and unity is also showcased. Beatrice Allen, President of the Gambian National Olympic Committee, delivers the statement of the IOC President.
Dear Olympic friends, when our founder, Pierre de Coubertin, revived the Olympic Games in 1894, he saw it as a way to promote peace among nations and people. Always the visionary, he said, should the institution of the Olympic Games prosper, it can become a potent factor in securing universal peace.
The power of sports can make bonds. Sports can also be a unifying factor. The International Olympic Movement says its purpose is to promote peace through sports. Beatrice Allen shared some of these ideals.
This Olympic spirit guides us as we strive to go faster, aim higher, become stronger by standing together for a peaceful world. On this Olympic Day, please join us as we call on everyone around the world. Give peace a chance.
This is the 74th International Olympic Committee Day celebration. The theme for this year's celebration is the power of sports to bring people together in peace. Momodu Gajaga, QTV News.
Before we end, here's a recap of our main headlines. The Minister of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, Professor Pierre Gomez, visited the Crab Island Technical and Vocational Education Training Center in Banjul as part of his tour of educational institutions. The Minister of the Interior has given an official statement on World Drug Day, which is commemorated on 26th of June every year. We hear criticism of the inaction a year after the Disability Act was passed. And in international news, we had two reports showing the diversity of side events from the ongoing Commonwealth Summit in Rwanda, which closes today, 25th of June. That's it from me in tonight's edition. Thank you for watching.